Buenos dias, todas las personas. Unica Monet again, coming back for the Taurus season. I'm excited. We're being ruled by Venus, the planet of love, the planet of finances and earth sign and all that fun stuff. So we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna go over the season as a whole, and then I'm gonna break down what the planets and what the moon is doing during the season. If there's any retrogrades coming up, any planets lining up with one another, and things like that. So starting off with Taurus season, there's a bit of discrepancy on it actually. What day? I got from April 29th to April 21st. It's like the start today season shadow type thing going on with Taurus season, and then it's over at May 21st, and then we get into Gemini season. So Taurus energy is grounded, it's slow moving, it's rooted in the physical realm. It's essential energy being ruled by Venus. During this time, it's good for goal making, planning. This season pushes you to work harder. You may get tunnel vision with your goals during the season, so be mindful of that. I know my Taurians, they like to work. They work a lot. I have a lot of Taurus friends and family members, and just don't get too much tunnel vision. It's okay to take a step back and invest in, but also don't get tunnel vision with that either, because I know my Taurians, they like to buy things, so be careful. Just all the carefulness, just be mindful of tunnel vision all together during the season. That's like your best bet. So yeah, Mercury is the planet of communication, Venus is the planet of compassion, and Aries, which is our short fuse season, they're all kind of triggered during this time. So you may be kind of easily triggered during this time. So be mindful of that as well. Like I said before, Venus is our planet during the season, and this is the planet of love. This planet is associated with Friday, this day of the week, Friday, the day of love, abundance, nurturing, beauty, happiness, and friendship. So on Fridays, it's probably like the best day to do your spiritual work, your altar work, and things like that. So yeah, let's do it on Fridays. I'm gonna take these off because I feel like my reflection is just like all up in the glass, and it's not that bad. So yeah, so Friday is the day that you might want to go to your altar and cleanse your altar, add things to your altar, pray to your altar for love and abundance. Maybe pray for your friendships, your relationships, especially during the season where we have the social distancing. A lot of our friends aren't within their reach the way they once were or whatever. So, Friday is a good day for that because that day is ruled by Venus, which is ruling the season right now. And Friday will be the strongest day for you to do your spiritual work because of that. And the stones associated with Venus are azurite, chrysocolla, chrysoprase, calcite. Copper is a good metal for this season. I have a lot of copper stuff. Emerald is good for this time. Jade, lapis, lotus stone, malachite, peridot, sodalite, tourmaline, and turquoise. So I really get like a nice like blue-green vibe during this season. We're focusing on the blue stones, the green stones, the aqua stones, the light green stones, because we're focusing on our heart chakra, but we're also focusing on our throat chakra, if you will, because I know you heard sodalite, that's blue, that piece, that's blue. Yeah, but those levels of communication help with love and friendship and relationships like that. So it kind of is a mix of the two a little bit during the season. So you want to focus on your blue and green stones. For Friday, the stones for Friday, we have azurite, chrysocolla again, celestite, copper as the metal again. We have emerald, jade, lapis, lotus stone, malachite, peridot, sodalite, turquoise. Again, a lot of stones is focusing on communication with yourself, communication with other people, communication with the universe, is in meditation and prayer and things. A lot of stones associated with wealth, spiritual wealth, going inward. Yeah, so again, we're focusing on the green and blue stones. As far as Friday goes, the flowers or herbs, I guess, if you will, during that season, The best ones I have are rose, which we know is the flower of friendship and relationships and love and forgiveness and moving on. A rose is basically a rose quartz as a flower. So we have rose, we have spearmint, which is good, antibacterial, antifungal. It's really good for opening up your sinuses and opening up your just this whole area, breaking mucus and things, and that makes it good for breathing. It makes it good for respiratory things going on, clearing up that space, and it's good for meditating because when you're clearing up that space, you're creating open passageways while you're breathing and things like that. So it's a very calming thing, and you can use that in your tea. You can use spearmint in your bath, and you can also use spearmint in your aromatherapy. Definitely. Um, Spikenard. Now I don't know what spikenard is, so I'm gonna look it up for you, and we're gonna find out together. You know what I mean? So we also have spikenard here and vanilla. I like vanilla. You know, vanilla is really like weird by itself. So spikenard is a muskaroo. It's an aromatic. It has a smell, and it's amber colored. Um, it's good for healthy skin, relaxation, and uplifting the mood. So we're still in that space of uplifting our mood during this emotional time. Ruled under Venus, our feelings are gonna be everywhere a little bit, or they might be rooted in somewhere. So yeah, that's for relaxation and uplifting mood. And the way the plant looks, I would assume it would have like the same like um, punch as spearmint does. As far as vanilla goes, vanilla is good for intestinal gas and fever, which is great because I've been taking vitamins. And I didn't know vitamins, you know what? Another conversation, don't even worry about that. It's good for fever, so it's a good time to have right now. It's good for increasing your sexual desire, so it's pretty much aphrodisiac. Um, so yeah. It's also a great antioxidant, anti-inflammatory. A lot of plants, a lot of herbs are good antioxidants, anti-inflammatory, anti-fungal, and antibacterial, antiviral. A lot of plants do that. So when you get into plants, I have a lot of plant books. If anybody's interested, feel free to message me and I'll show you the books that I have. But a lot of plants do that. So yeah, that's what's happening for Venus and Friday. They're intertwined with one another. The number 6 is associated with the Taurus season, and this is the number of beauty, the union of conscious and unconsciousness, balance, wholeness, healing, and harmony. Because you have two threes, and we know 3 is the number of creation. So when you put two threes together, you have like a nice balance. You have the creation of the physical and the creation of the spiritual coming together. 6 is a very good number. So that's what's happening with the number 6. Taurus is a fixed sign. This is our very, very stubborn sign. My Miles is a Taurus, and oh my God, you have to make things seem like it's his idea for him to go with it. You gotta get him options. You have to give him options, because if you don't give him options and you say, okay, this is what we're gonna do, he's not gonna do it. Even if it's something that he wants to do, it's just like that stubbornness. You can't break that stubbornness. Nobody's breaking that stubbornness. But so this fixed sign, this is associated with, well, we use the word stubbornness, but if you want to look at it in like stable, these people are very stable. These people are very determined, very traditional people. These people are very rigid. They can be a little narrow-minded. They can have a little tunnel vision. Especially if they have a goal, if they have something that they're shooting for, they're definitely going to be like, get out of my way. Even they might not even see you. You might just get rammed by the bull. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it is. Especially when heightened emotions are involved, because we know Venus is all about the emotions. This is also an earth sign, which like doubles up on that. It's a fixed earth sign, which doubles up on that determination and that stubbornness and that rigidness and that tunnel vision. This has negative kind of energy, but don't think of negative in a in a bad way. Think of negative as in like the minus sign, like electron type of energy. But this is also a female energy. You know, Venus is a female planet. This sign is good for introvert introverted signs. A lot of people in this sign, they kind of keep to themselves, so they might be doing well during this time. Um, then their influences are on practicality, taking caution, being productive. They're very connected to the material world, and they like to make tangible results. During this season, Earth sign, um, what Virgo, Taurus, and Capricorn, they may be feeling great vibes during this time. Other fixed signs such as Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius might be feeling frustrated and stuck during this sign because like those signs are Earth, so they're feeling stuck in that stagnant Earth energy. So while the rest of us Earth signs are like, yay, like finally some concrete physical things are happening and being accumulated. No more this emotion and uncertainty and aggression and all these things that I can't play. I always use the analogy of the deep end of the pool, where it's like one when you get to that side of the pool where your like feet are no longer on the ground, and it's like the water is kind of pushing you back and forth, and it's like that uneasiness. I don't know if y'all feel that. I feel uneasiness in my chest. I can't swim. I do like to be in the water. I do like to be in the pool, but once I feel I'm getting to the point where I'm like standing on my tippy toes and I'm like, all right, yeah, that's an uneasiness I feel. And that's what I've been feeling lately, because everything has just been rooted in all these like untangible things. Like I'm like, all right, I need some paper, I need some concrete stuff, I need to see something in front of me that's showing me what's going on, and I don't see any of that. It's just like a lot of theory and feeling and interpretation and inferences, and just like non-concrete stuff. And that stuff, like, that stuff really bothers me. I don't do well with stuff like that. That's just me. It might just be me. Might not just be me. I don't know. But anyway, moving forward. So the rest of you, fixed signs, might be feeling a little crazy during this time, because during this time you're like, you know, I want to be a little bit more free than this. This is a little bit too stagnant, too concrete, too earthy for me. But this will be good for you, because it's a good time for you to hone in on those emotions that we've been feeling these past couple seasons, these past couple months, and just try to solidify, find some type of foundation and like grounding, if you will, if that makes sense to you. Anyway, moving on. Taurus is a materialistic sign. Food may taste better during the season. Sex may feel better during the season. You might have felt horny coming into the season, like, oh my god, I can't sleep. And you also may feel yourself indulging in luxuries this time. Usually, like last year around this time, you know, people are getting back their state taxes. They're starting to do like the little last minute things with their federal taxes, and it's just like a lot of buying things. We're still buying things. We're still carrying on that fun energy of the New Year's being over and still living into our New Year's resolutions and things. I know this year we took a big turn. The Chinese New Year changed. We're in the year of the metal rat. We're in a new like zodiac season altogether. The polar shifts are changing, so the weather is changing, the climate is changing in certain areas, the temperament is changing in certain areas, and it's scary for us, especially for those that are not in tune with the cosmos. A lot of people that are not in tune with the cosmos or the astronomy of it or the cosmogony of it, they're very scared right now, because they're feeding into the fear mongering of the news. They're feeding into the fear mongering of the scientists that are doing everything in their power to debunk cosmogony and the study of the stars and cosmology and things like that. You have to be mindful of the people you're listening to too. Like, I know we watch the news and stuff like that, but pay attention to the views of the news. Do the views of the news coincide with your own personal views? Like, you know, you were watching, you know, Science Today or Science News or whatever, but what is the theory? Like, what is the foundational theory of Science News? Are they trying to debunk the cosmology rules? Do you try to debunk? If not, then you guys aren't aligned, and you shouldn't be watching that news, because they're going to scare the shit out of you, because they don't believe in the things that you believe in. They don't have that factor. And for me, it's a calming factor when I learn about the cosmogony and cosmology. It makes everything make sense, and it doesn't matter to me if I'm in this realm or the next or the last realm while things are in motion, because I know when it comes to my energy, it's going to be where it's supposed to be. And that's comforting, no matter if I'm in this, bodysuit or not. Um, but I try to put that on my kids. But I have a Taurus, and he's just like, but feelings. But we do have little conversations about it a lot, because you never know, especially right now where the world is turning. And I just watched like a wonderful interview on Do the Knowledge Radio. I forget the sister's name, but she was talking about us entering the 5G, and I didn't think about it in that sense, and how a lot of people, different reasons why a lot of people aren't going to make it, and we don't know. We don't know. And if they're saying this is going to last for years, you might feel like you're in the clear because you didn't get picked the first round, but who knows, Who knows? We don't know. So, moving forward, we know that the symbol for Taurus is the bullhead. And the bullhead is the bull altogether is a representation of that determination, that stubbornness, that rigidness. You don't mess with a bull. You don't bother a bull. You let a bull be. And if you let a bull be and you watch a bull in his own element being left alone, he's very calm, very, very to himself, eats a lot. There's a thing about Taurus being in love with food and eating a lot. You have, you watch a bull, they're very peaceful. They're very peaceful people. But when you poke a bull in that head, top out, you feel that energy like, oh no, I fucked up. So, that's the essential energy of the Taurus season. That is also the essential energy of Taurians. Don't poke them. That's it. So when we get into the tarot cards, we know that earth signs are good problem solvers. They're well balanced and purposeful. They're intuitive. I'm sorry. They inherit wisdom and need to be visual. Again, we're going back into that physical realm, that love for the physical, visualizations and things like that, accumulations. Venus is a planet of feeling welcomed, female instinct, sensuality, and it deals with the laws of attraction and romance. And then when you're dealing with the tarot card, it's the card of the Empress. And this is the card of fertility and warmth and a good house out atmosphere. So that's another thing you learn about Taurus. Like, that energy is a good, like, homey energy. It's a good energy for families coming together. It's a good time for that. So that feminine energy brings in that mothering energy of that Empress tarot card. So you may be feeling like an empress. You might be feeling like an emperor during this time. And during that time when you're feeling those tarot cards, it's a homey feeling. It's a matriarchal, a patriarchal feeling. Not necessarily like a boss move type feeling. Whereas you will be making boss moves during this season too, as this is the season of financial gain and material gain and things like that. So you want to be mindful of your family during this time. You want to be mindful of just everything physical. You're going back into the world. During the Aries season, we felt a lot of aggression, and for a lot of us, that repulsed us, especially for my soft-hearted ones, like my naturally introverted individuals, my naturally mutable signs. You might feel a lot of like hits when you were out and about during that Aries season. For my fire signs, you guys were probably just like right at home, and being your best self and probably getting more attention than usual, and positive attention. Some of it's negative because there's a balance where there's good eyes, there's bad eyes lurking in the background. But you might have been feeling that a lot during the Aries season. And so now that we're coming into this Taurus season, my Hermit, Cancer, and of course my Virgos and my other signs that like to go inward, you might have felt yourself becoming a little bit more comfortable. Now, that snappy energy is starting to die down a little bit. People are starting to get comfortable in this routine and in this flow of things, because it takes 21 days to get comfortable with something. So people are becoming less afraid. What's happening is what's happening. The fear mongering and the aggressive energy of running in the stores and pushing each other down and hurrying up and buying all the masks, and everybody that works in healthcare, like I work in healthcare, the people that work in healthcare has a lot of anxious energy. But I think now that we're coming into the season and we're starting to get organized and we're starting to see head on what's going on, there's still a lot of sadness going on. My hearts go out to the people, especially the people that work in the kitchens and the people that work in maintenance and the CNAs and the nurses. Like, they don't, we always like go to the doctor, but those people right there, the social workers, the nurses, the CNAs, the maintenance workers, and the kitchen workers, oh my God, those are the heroes right there. And during Aries season, they dealt with a lot. Like, every other day, it's new rules, it's new protocol, it's new procedure, and they're just watching people die. We're watching people die every day. It's like, it's a lot. And it's a lot of aggressive energy that's come with that. People are angry. People are scared. So they're scared to take care of these people that have this sickness. They don't want to bring that home. They don't want to find out the hard way they have underlying health issues. They don't want to find the hard way that they had their spouse has underlying health issues, or their children have underlying health issues. Because not everybody goes to the doctors regularly. When people go to the doctors, what does the doctor do? He picks up a stethoscope. He looks at your eyeballs, your ears, your throat, and then takes your weight and your height. Actually, the nurse does all of that, and then the doctor comes in, asks you a few questions, and dips. Like, I mean, what kind of doctor's appointment do you take to find out underlying health issues? A lot of people aren't getting blood work done or taking stress tests or things like that. A lot of people don't think to do those things. And, within the Black community, there's a lot of distrust for the doctors, because our history with anything American built has not been positive at all. People with melanin, when you talk about healthcare and melanin centered healthcare, I don't know if it is at this moment in time, but it was considered pseudoscience to say that people with melanin needs a separate healthcare. And then when it comes to these vaccines, like, a lot of people are scared about Bill Gates and the evil doings that he wants to do. He's looking like a real, like, mega mind right now. He wants to, put chips in people and sneak them in the vaccines and things like that. And you just got like a lot of like fear going on, and a lot of like just like a lot of aggressive energy, and it's fueling the fear, and that aggressive energy is fueling the anger with the healthcare systems and the disproportionate care to people who don't have as well health care as others. It was always brought to the light. We just weren't being heard. But now that numbers are reflected, and now that demographics are separate from the numbers, and you're just looking at numbers, now it's making people realize, like, why are the numbers so high? We're so scared. Well, let me tell you why the numbers are so high. Because we've been telling you for years, this American healthcare system does not cater to melanated people. And I'm not just talking about Black Americans. I'm talking about African Americans. I'm talking about Hispanic people. I'm talking about Indian people. Anybody with melanin in their bodies. Healthcare centered towards them, their pain threshold, the things that intertwine and do harmful things to the carbon in their skin, in their eyes, in their ears, just wherever they have melanin at. The things that the metals attack in their melanin or store up and stay stored in their melanated areas, like call it a calcified pineal gland. But your melanin stores things, and it stores a lot of bad things, because urban neighborhoods are overpolluted. This is where the factories are. These are where the truck stops are. And granted, it's like jobs. We got jobs, but we're killing ourselves. We're breathing in this air. Our melanin, our carbon in our body is absorbing the radical ions in the air to protect us, but it's also toxifying our bodies at the same time. And it doesn't help that we're not eating right. We don't have healthy food places in urban neighborhoods. We have chicken shacks, McDonald's, Burger King, and Taco Bell, and then you have to drive like a half hour out to get to Whole Foods, and that's if you have a car. That's if you have the knowledge to even go to Whole Foods, because who's giving you that knowledge? They're giving you vaccines at Walgreens instead. It's a whole thing. I can go on forever, but we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about Taurus season. So let's get back to Taurus season. Let's bring it back. I spiraled. My bad, y'all. So get back, we're into the tarot. So as far as tarot, that was tarot on a Venus level. Now tarot on a Taurus level is Hierophant. Hierophant. I'm going to spell it for you because I'm pretty sure I'm not pronouncing it. Hierophant. That is the tarot card, and this card recognizes state and church and professional knowledge. And the Knight of Pentacles is also a card for this season. It's a person with great ambition, and I'm gonna read a little bit further into that tarot only because didn't say enough for me. So the High Priest card is the card number 5, which is the number of humanity. And this is the High Priest card. This is the card for personal advice, teaching, learning. Upright, this card, need to seek professional advice. That's what this card means. If you have this card, if you feel this card upright within your life, you need to seek professional advice. A doctor, a lawyer, advisor. See, like what I said before, like in Aries season, we were kind of like all over the place. We weren't everywhere. We had no organizational protocols. We're just looking at numbers on the news every other day. Something's changing. Now, during this time, during this Aries season, we're going to find like a bit of a balance. We're going to see more professionals come to the forefront and explain some things to us and make some things make sense. Granted, be mindful and very careful about the information that you absorb, because a lot of people that are coming to the forefront claiming themselves to be professionals are coming to the forefront and with their own agenda, with their own thing that they want you to hold on to, that they want you to know and learn. And that could be a bit of an issue, especially for my people that are still afraid. This also has to do with something with the church. So something with the church may be going on this season. Keep your eye out. I seen a video on Instagram not too long ago. I can't tell you what page it was, but it was the Pope was in the window and he disappeared. Now I don't know if that was an editing mistake. Maybe they had put him in the window. It was also a theory that people are getting a lot better with the holograms. Which makes sense. I'm seeing these like 5G things going up and down the highway. So to me, like at some point in time, once they finish like utilizing that to hand people tickets in the mail instead of having cops on the side of the road, they'll probably start to utilize that to create holograms or advertisements on the side of the road or whatever as technology keeps moving forward. But that's what it's looking like. I see all these towers outside and they're advancing the internet and stuff like that. I think they're going to start making Wi-Fi a utility. Like they're building these towers in our sleep. Now, what the side effects of these towers are, I don't know, because we look at what happened with Atlantis. We look at what happened with the other empires, and it seems to have a common denominator: overconsumption and arrogance, and trying to play with the God particle is what led to their demise. And I hope that those in charge are being responsible to that repetition of history. And if they're selfish people, do it for yourself and your kids. Don't. If you can't think wide enough to think about the rest of the universe, just think about yourself and your kids. They they hang out in this world, they will find the love of their life in this world. They will procreate in this world. They will have children in this world, and these children will go out into this world and date and make friends and procreate and make more children. So if you can't think about anybody else because your mind is so narrow-minded, at least take the time to think about your own lineage when you're outside because you work for PSE&G or you work for Dominion Energy or you work for wherever else and you feel like you're just doing your job. Ask questions because you are an employee. Share knowledge because a lot of us are scared. Maybe you know some things that are reassuring. You know, you are watching these fear-mongering videos and these conspiracy theory videos, but you have insight. Let people know what your insight is to calm down, those who don't know and are just following the waves of who's the loudest. People are scared right now, and everybody kind of has a responsibility to help each other now. And I like that. That's what one thing I like about the internet is, like, it's everyone's responsibility now. We don't have to rely on one person that sits in the White House. We don't have to rely on these couple people that decide to represent the state, while some of us feel misrepresented, underrepresented, or not represented at all. We can go on these platforms, represent what needs to be represented, share the information that what needs to be shared, and give it to people who are afraid. Give it to people. Not everybody is meant to be a shepherd. Some people are just meant to be sheep, and you need sheep. What is a shepherd without sheep? You know what I mean? It's not a bad thing to be a follower. It's not a bad thing to be the worker bee. Those people are just essential. And right now, in this space and time, these people that we consider sheep, they're essential right now. So, the tables have turned. Tables are turning. The positions we thought were so important, they're losing their importance. And to be honest, I think that after this quarantine, a lot of jobs that you guys had, you're not going to get back. A lot of those jobs, by the time we get through this, they're going to be so obsolete. You have to move with the wave. Like in the Do the Knowledge video, you got to move with the 5G, and the people that aren't moving with it, they're going to die. And it's not nothing to be scared of. I think the fear that we have, that we're honing in on, it's nothing to be scared of in this universe or the next. But moving on. So when you have that card in reverse, the High Priest card, it represents a follower, an academic such as an accountant, a lawyer, or a doctor. It also represents a stable and successful individual. So you have that upright card, which is that leader card, and then you have that downward card with a sheep. So what is the shepherd without the sheep at the bottom? You know what I mean? So whichever way the card, flips for you, it's nothing wrong with it. Don't be self-conscious of it. It's not a big deal. So the colors associated with this season is the color blue. Blue is a color of wisdom, faithfulness, responsibility, understanding, smooth communications, and calm colors. It's the color of the sky and heavens and things like that. Green is also a color. Like I told you guys before, a lot of stones that we were focusing on were blue and green stones. The green stones are the stones of fertility, hope, nature, friendship, freedom, empathy, and it's also believed to cure the eyes. Brown, that's our earth sign color. This is the grounding color, the color of stability. Brown, you want to be done with tiger's eye is a good brown stone because that's the stone of insight. As a stone of intuitive protection and things like that. So that's a good brown stone. Earth jasper is a good stone during this earth sign season. You check out letsnobodiescollection.com for those things because I definitely have those. Pink is the color of compassion and love, comfort, unconditional love, and understanding. Because that is red, which is the color of passion, which we just got out of an Aries season. And then you have the color mixed with the color white, which brings in renewal, rebirth, light, innocence, positivity, and friendship, and things like that. So we're coming into a calming plateau. We were aggressive. We were doing all these things. The market was looking crazy, and now we're coming to a calming plateau. We're starting to get used to things. I see more and more cars starting to come out. People are starting to come back together a little bit. I know when the president was talking, he said, in the next few weeks, we're going to have the most death because that's where a lot of people, either the people that know they have it or even the people who have been asymptomatic, they're either going to make it out of this or they're going to pass off into the next life and they're going to be our ancestors. A lot of ancestors are being born right now. And while we're sad because they're not on earth with us, it's kind of like a calming type thing. If you are into the afterlife, if you are into those things, because like I said, we have a lot of ancestors being born for us, a lot of people to put on our altar, a lot of people to praise come El Dia de los Muertos. So no energy is created or destroyed. A lot of energy that we're losing, we're not really losing. It's going into the next realm for us. It's going into the next dimension for us. This is for us. This is something that's happening for the earth. The earth is getting cleansed. There's not as much cars on the road. We're finding we've had time to slow down. slow down on how much trash we were creating, how much food we were wasting, how many animals we were slaughtering on a regular basis, the pollutant emissions from our factories and our businesses and our cars and stuff like that. We've had a time to slow down, and it's like when you stop smoking cigarettes. I feel like the earth has gone like 30 to 60 days without being like 20 packs a day. You feel me? And it's healing. It's healing. My mother was telling me that her friend was saying that, in Florida, they're starting to see mountains they never saw before because the pollution is easing up. How beautiful is that? And how alarming is that? Like, that's how we've been living. We've been living in such a fog that now we're starting to see landscapes that we couldn't see through the fog we were creating. Who knows? Maybe with this new life, we'll start to see planets in a way that we weren't seeing before because we've been creating smog for generations. We don't know. We don't know. So, when you think about the possibilities, it doesn't have to be scary. Don't be scared. It's going to be A-okay. So now we're going to get into my favorite part. We're going to get into, no. We're not going to get into my favorite part yet. We're going to get into my other favorite part. We're going to get into Metu Netter. What this season means in terms of the Netter. And then we're going to get into our planetary forecast, which is fun. And just to let you guys know, I have been doing natal chart readings. I know that people are able to go online and just look up their natal charts or whatever, and that's cool. But a lot of the sentence structure and things like that can be a little confusing, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you can always come to me. I can help you interpret your natal chart. I can break it down to layman's terms. I also tie in the tarot reading in with your natal chart, so you'll get a tarot card for each of your planet readings. And I let Spirit use me to communicate with you through the tarot reading and the planetary reading. And I let Spirit use you into receiving that message. So getting into Metu Netter, we know that there is a time and place for everything. And when we get into the spiritual direction of things and utilizing a formula to pray, utilizing a formula to manifest and to plan and things like that, and going into the tree of life and things like that, we know that there is a time and place for all things. A body can only have one head. Unless you find the main theme of an event, you will never understand it, let alone control it. All other contributing factors must be assigned to their purpose, place, and space. So while you may have one head, it has to be put in the proper space and place in order to utilize it correctly. So if we get into page 261 on Metu Netter, that's what I'm reading, and that's what I go by in my readings when I start talking about the Netters and Orishas. Just so y'all know, I'm coming from a book reference. And if you guys want, I do have Volume 1 Metu Netter book review between me and my oldest son, Ezekiel. We read it together. I do have that on YouTube. So, from March 21st to May 5th, we're doing Mayat, the East, from sunrise to 9 a.m. Your sympathetic system has just begun to put out more than your parasympathetic system. So, your sympathetic system is your energy, your fight or flight, that aggressive energy, that wake up, reflex, repulse. And your parasympathetic system is kind of like that relaxation, the energy, the hormones that go through your energy to calm you down and to relax you, so you don't go too off the handles. We just got done dealing with that in the winter time. We were sleeping, we were hibernating, we were slowing down, but now we're starting to kick up, we're starting to become more lively, and we were at an equilibrium when we were at our equinox. Our earth was at an equilibrium, time was at an equilibrium, we were physically at equilibriums, but now we're coming back to that aggressive energy, coming a little bit more. And when we first turned on that aggressive energy, we were in Aries season. So when you first feel it, it's like, oh my god, it's like when you first feel hot water after being outside in the cold. Granted, that hot water ain't that hot, but because you've been out in the cold for so long, it feels like, oh my god. So it was very intense when you first felt it, but now we're getting comfortable with aggressive energy. So now it feels like second nature that you want to go outside. Now it feels like second nature that you're ready for a sunny day, or you want to go to your friend's house, or you want to do things like that. Like it's feeling right. So this is a time in the cycle when the hot and moist energy is in activity. The body is heating up after being re-moistened by the inner outer waters of life. It is most auspicious for the undertakings requiring Jupiter's energies, which is the struggle for expanding one's wealth and position. Your optimism, generosity, and panoramic view of things manifest themselves most strongly here. Chemotherapeutics, which is draining herbs for the liver, are in harmony with this point in your yearly cycle. So this is the time to focus on your liver. And at the sunrise and the equinox, neck bent and watchet are in equilibrium above your brow. That's your physical and your spiritual being. They're at equilibrium above your brow. Hum Shang. That is the mantra, the breathing, the sound you make. Gum, gashong. That's the sound that you make during this time, and when you're meditating, and it's actually pretty soothing. It might feel silly to you at first when you're sitting down doing it, but when you really get into it and you start doing it with your prayer beats, which I also have on lessthanobodiescollection.com, you get into it, and it's good. So when May 5th starts, because we know that Taurus season isn't over until May 21st. So for the rest of Taurus season, is the southeast is the direction that you want to, that is the most holy. Around 9 a.m. to noon is the time. And this is from May 5th to June 21st. And we're dealing with Heru. The earth is warming up. Your animal spirit is absorbing the heat and therefore is drying out. Now we're getting to hot and dry. We're in hot and moist in spring where it's raining and it's warm and it's humid and blah, blah, blah. Now we're getting into hot, dry. So you want to start getting into a diet that complements that. Your moderate fire, hot, dry energy is in activity. This is the most auspicious time to carry out such tasks that require the vitality. What to eat during hot, moist season? Scallions, turnips, apples, barley, chicken, cucumbers, mangoes, mung beans, pears, radishes, sesame seeds, strawberries, tangerines, wheat, bamboo shoots, bananas, chestnuts, crab, grapefruit. So a lot of hot and moist foods are good for hot and moist season. You want to eat accordingly. And then during the hot, dry season, when we get into the hot, dry season, you want to get into the cool, moist foods. I want to give you guys the right thing. So yeah. So yeah, you're eating for the season. So during this hot, dry season, you want to eat more moist foods, cool, moist foods to balance that, what you're feeling on the outside versus what you're feeling on the inside. And during the hot, moist season, which is until May 5th, you want to eat a lot of like cool, dry kind of foods. So you have your nuts, you have your beans and things like that. Starting May 5th to June 21st, this is the most auspicious time to carry out such tasks that require the vitality, which nourishes the ability to raise truth above our emotional and sensual conditionings. It is best time to impose your will upon your life force, as the reduction of your moisture has undermined your Alset and Het Heru faculties. Power breathing, aerobics, remedies for cardiovascular system, etc. are in harmony with you at this point in your biorhythm. The bitter flavor will help your fire to rise and maintain itself. Sweets will dissipate your vitality and give power to water, which is emotions. So you want to stay away from sweets when it starts to heat up. because they're going to take away from your power, which is true. When you have a lot of sweets, it makes you want a lot of water when it's hot outside. I don't know if you guys notice that. You get thirsty, so you start drinking more and more juices, and you're asking your kids, like, why y'all keep eating up all these ices? Why y'all keep eating up all this stuff? It's because you're giving them sugar, and it's making it worse for them because it's hot and dry outside. So be mindful of that, especially with your kids. We have our kids at home. A lot of us, you know, are struggling in that nutrition field, and that's fine. It's okay. I wasn't always there. Like when I think I gave up McDonald's. My kid was like 3 or 4, and he was fucking devastated. It was like so annoying. Every time we drove past a McDonald's, I'm like telling him no, and I'm trying to explain to him why I'm saying no now, and I'm trying to tell him why I never said no before, and he's just like in the backseat, like, but Happy Meal toy. Like it was just like, it was such a crazy withdrawal experience for the both of us. But yeah, you have to be mindful of those things because you have children that are drying out from the inside because they're being fed all this sugar, and it's bringing out their emotions. So they're wild. They're, a lot of energy is going on and things like that. And it's not being appreciated because it wasn't, we didn't want it. We just wanted to keep our kids out our face. And for those of you, I don't know. We just need a better system as a community for our children, especially like, a lot of people, now that your kids have been homeschooled, a lot of you guys don't want your kids to go back to school. If we could create like some sort of network. I live in the New Jersey area. I'm all down for creating some sort of network. I have a 13-year-old and a 5-year-old. So like, just for those who are having trouble, like we should be there for each other. Not every female is good at, everything under the mother umbrella, and that's okay. It's not a big deal. That there's some things that I'm not good at under the mother umbrella that the next mother is good at, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Please take my children, and I'll take yours. But moving on. So referring back to Metu Neter, page 287, Heteru. The Kemetic name is for that, Nethet. And Kabbalistic is Netshak, and Yoruba is Oshun. This deals with the seventh sphere. We know that 7 is the number of heaven, basically. And it's the number of angels. It's the number of luck. It's just the number of, you have 7, whole chakras. So it's like the number of, what do you call it? Like the renewal of energies, like that angel, intuitive type of heavenly type energy. The planet dealing with this time, with this Neter, this Orisha, is Venus. Again, we're dealing with love. We're dealing with financial abundance and wealth and things like that. Again, we're dealing with the day Friday, so you want to pray to Oshun about abundance and love and friendship and creativity and your angels and intuitive energy and those physical aspects of yourself as well on a Friday. The color is green, which is the color of fertility, the color of abundance, luck, wealth, giving, things like expansiveness, and the color of yellow, which is another color of, yellow is the color of your sacral chakra, sunshine, energy, motivation, uplifting type of frequency that comes with the color yellow. I'm going to refer to my notes. It is sun in all life. Optimism, success, satisfaction, generosity, organization, and order. So these two colors together, you have like, you're bringing energy to your wealth, you're bringing energy to your abundance, you're bringing generosity to these things, you're bringing generosity and organization, order to your harmony, your freedom, and your empathy, and things like that. The number associated with this is the number 5, which is our number of humanity. We have 5 extremities. We have 5, things. When you pull 5 on a tarot card, that is the number of problems, unfortunately. The more 5s, the more problems you may be having. But problems are good to have. Problems mean more solutions. Problems mean more journey turns and things like that. So if you think about it in an optimistic sense, it's really not that bad. So you want to deal with things of five in this season. You want to deal with greens and yellows, especially on your altar when you're praying to Oshun during the season for your wealth and of abundance. The gems during this time are diamond, which we know is a good stone for memory, reflecting energy, protecting energy, absorbing energy. Zircon, which essentially does the same thing. You have your white and your rose, and white coral, which is good for cleansing and amplifying energy as well. So we have a lot of cleansing and amplification going on. These stones are also symbols of wealth in our culture. You know, you're walking around with diamonds. Diamonds are a girl's best friend, so that brings in that feminine energy of Venus. We do these things and we don't even realize we're doing these things, but we do. Time of the year to talk to Oshun outside of the Taurus season is when the full moons are in Libra and Taurus, which is not happening this season. I think the new moon is in Taurus, but we'll get into that in a minute. As far as herbalism goes, in your baths during the season, you want yellow roses. Again, roses are good, antibacterial. They're good for your skin. And then we're dealing with the color yellow, which is abundance and success and life and things like that. You're dealing with honeysuckle, which is a good antibacterial. Honeysuckle is good for, let's find out. Let's do it while I'm sitting here. I think it's good to do it while I'm sitting here so you guys know I'm not kind of BSing you a little bit. Honeysuckles are good. Well, don't eat too many. I used to eat honeysuckles a lot when I was a kid. I used to eat honeysuckles. There used to be like plants I used to go by my middle school. I used to go to Cunningham and Violin, and there was like a whole bunch of honeysuckle trees where I was at. And essentially, these are used for digestive disorders, colds, influenza, swine flu, viral and bacterial infections because of the honey part of it. It kind of clings to the things in your body. It helps with the swelling of the brain. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It helps with healing, internal healing. Calendula flowers. My favorite flower is actually the I forget what it's called. It's a kind of lily though, and it looks pretty cool. This is also a good flower. It's a yellow flower, but it's good for life. When you get into the color of the yellow, we're talking about life and success and abundance and that type of energy. So this is definitely good for energies. It's very good for muscle spasms. Candelula flowers is in feminine tea. It's another feminine flower. It's good for menstruation. It's also good for sore throat and mouth. Different infections. La la la. And I like flowers. I like what flowers do to the house. It brings like a nice calming energy, and like the yellow flowers will bring like a nice like energizing energy. Like, okay, so yeah, it does symbolize happiness, joy, and grace. So it does bring that. So that just confirmed all the stuff I was just saying. All I did was go on Google and confirm everything I was just saying. And that's the crazy part when you like are second guessing what you know to be true. When you second guess yourself, that's when things like takes a little longer and everybody's looking like, all right, what is she over there doing? I'm double checking myself because I don't lie to y'all. Like, I always double check my information. Like, right now, I went through books. Like, I have a whole bunch of herbal books on my bookshelf back there, and I took a class and stuff like that. But I still have my moments. I still be doing like fact check myself. Maiden's hair is also another good one, which is a good antibacterial, antifungal. Parsley Vetiver, spearmint, and sandalwood. Sandalwood is good for invoking spirits. Sandalwood is good for clearing your air and clearing your space, especially when you're burning it. But these are good things. This, we're still covering baths. This is stuff that you could just put in your bath water. Oils. Oils to have: rose oil, sandalwood oil, honey, excuse me, honeysuckle oil, and cinnamon oil. Cinnamon oil I love. Cinnamon oil is good for breaking up the mucus. Cinnamon oil is good, and because it breaks up the mucus, it's good antibacterial, antifungal, and antiviral. Cinnamon oil is also good for like chest, like anything that deals with mucus. You know how when you deal with mucus in your chest and your breathing and your respiratory, it's good for that. When you put it in aromatherapy and the oil in your aromatherapy thing, it's really good for calming and not necessarily energizing, but calming to the point where you're having energy to meditate, energy to concentrate and focus and things like that, which is really important. And your incense are the same as your oils: your rose, sandalwood, honeysuckle, and cinnamon. Your mantras or your word of power during this time is cling. So when you're meditating, you want cling, cling, and you could do that for however way long you want to. You get into it. And as far as planetary mantras, when you want to invoke, the energy of Venus, of Oshun. Well, Oshun, the spiritual, is cling. But if you want to invoke the energy of Venus, of that wealth and abundance, this is Om, Drung, Dring, Drong. So Om, Drung, Dring, Drong. And I can create, but I also have meditation devices for that as well, on lessnobodiescollection.com. That would be a count of four. You could do a count of four beats. You can do a count of, you could do each sound for however way long you want, and then go into the next sound for however way long. You create whatever pattern you want to create, but essentially those are the sounds to create, to invoke what you want to invoke. If you get into the back of Metu Neter because you want to stay in tune with the traditions on a Neteru sense, then you can do that. You can, in the back of the book, they do have the prayers. They also have a free PDF file. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there is a free PDF of Volume 1 Metu Neter that you can find. But on page 402 and page 403, they do have I don't know if you guys can see it. They do have the breaths and everything like that you can do. So that's pretty awesome. So getting back into Hetetru. What's my page? Hold on one second. Bear with me, y'all. My bad. For showing y'all a different page, I lost my own page in the mist. I'm back. Okay, so yeah. Drung, Dring, Drung. Your spiritual direction during this time is the southwest. Your mundane direction, which is the direction you don't want to pray in at all during this time, is the north. Personality portfolio. Through its action in the Kabit, the animal spirit, the cold and moist energy of Venus has the following effects on the personality. And this is dealing with sphere 9. We know number 9 is the number of completion. When you're starting to bring the physical and the spiritual realm, you got 3 groups of 3. So you have 3 forms of creation, which is beautiful. Emotional traits is sociable, affectionate, pleasure-loving, quiet, harmonious, joyful, sweet, engaging, flexible, sympathetic, graceful, merry, and cheerful. And then your negative emotional traits during the season are essentially aberrated, shameless, lascivious, timorous, neglectful, lewd, idle, wasteful, craving drugs, alcohol, immoral, motivated by fantasies and empty forms, maybe illogical and a little irrational. Ooh, I know a few irrational Tauruses. Spendthrift, fearful, careless, and narcissistic. So just be mindful of that tunnel vision with accumulating things, because it leads to those negative emotional traits. Mental traits during the season: congregative thinking, the imagination, use of metaphors, myths, metaphorians, and stories to explain. Your social correspondence correspondences during this time. Career functions, entertainers, artists, young women, the beauty, clothing, pleasure, and adornment industries. So these are industries that may be doing the best during the season because people are indulged to buy and indulge in beauty and physical things and stuff like that during this time. Spiritual portfolio during this time: joy, pleasure, imagination, and visualization. Spiritual function: the arousal of the life force, which is your chi, ra, kundalini. And as I talked with you guys in the scoop with Carrie Fall, I think I said it right. I'm so sorry. But I did an interview on Saturday morning, and I got into the orgone energy, which is essentially the chi, ra, prana energy, the kundalini energy. So the arousal of this life force through joy and pleasure, especially when ecstatic, provides the motive force for the accomplishment of our minor goals and vitalization of the will. Unfortunately, most people are ignorant of this fact and suppress their joyfulness, waiting for success and the arousal of the life force through joy and pleasure, especially when ecstatic, provides the motive force for the accomplishment of our minor goals and vitalization of the will. Unfortunately, most people are ignorant of the fact and suppress their joyfulness, waiting for success to overindulge their passions. I needed to read that one. That's why I didn't read it right the first one, because that one was for me. And never know why they have so much difficulty carrying out their will, concentrating, etc. Review the material given for the third stage of meditation and initiation regarding the combination of creative imagery and life force arousal. The practice of visualizing the emotionally charged situation related to our goals, combined with the special breathing techniques and Asvini mudra. A great deal of problem also arises from the ignorance of the function of the imagination. People allow themselves to indulge in the visualization of emotionally charged imagery, positive or negative emotions and sensations, without realizing that they are thus giving power of realization to unwanted and untenable solutions. So, in a nutshell, because I'm not sure if when I read it you understood it, but basically what this is saying is, during this season, like I said before, Venus is rooted in that physical pleasure, that physical the love of physical things. We are, the earth signs are associated with the card of pentacles, very physical beings. And so, but they're, with this Venus ruling over, it's also emotion, a lot of emotion. That female emotion. This is a feminine planet, and we know that the feminine is associated with the moon, and the moon has 13 goes to 13 different symbols in a 30-day period. So there's a lot of emotional imbalance here in these feminine planets because they're, essentially like ruled by that moon, non-stable energy, and that's not a bad thing. It doesn't have to be a bad thing, and I'll tell you why, because the book is also telling you why things like this shouldn't be a bad thing, because when you get caught up in waiting for your success, you like to attach your emotions to the success, and that's not good. We don't want to attach our emotions to the success. We don't want to do this because you lose sight of what the essential goal is here. You don't understand why you're having difficulty. You're having difficulty because when you have a bad day and you're emotionally upset or angry or frustrated, it's making you not go further. Like, I'm not doing this no more. But why am I having so much distress? Why am I not doing? Because you've given up. You're allowing your emotions to get in the way of you getting to that next step or that next level. And it's time to go back to the third stage of meditation and initiation. And this is the part where we go into our emotions. And we visualize the first time we ever felt this emotion, the first time we ever created this emotion, what we associate it with, or we think about that physical thing we're having difficulty with, and we think about the first time we ever attached that emotion that's in the way to that thing, and we conquer that part. That's what the third stage is. You get into with the imaginative, the creation of it, and you do away with the emotional part. You have to allow yourself to indulge in visualization and imagination and manifestation without the emotions. please, please, please be mindful of the emotions that are being ruled by Venus during this time, because we just got done being aggressive. So now when we come into this plateau, it just be mindful of how you come into it. Be mindful of how you come into it. The function of the Het Haru faculty is to organize the subtle forces of the animal spirit that are directly in control of the physical phenomenon. Coming back to that earth and that physical things that Taurus like to dive into, it is especially susceptible to influences of the instinct, emotions, and sensuous energies. Again, getting back into that Venus energy. Key phrases during this season: love for, one is attracted to; failure to control is one attraction to; desire for, love for the external form side of; reliance on one's beauty, grace, or charm; overindulgence in love of ease, contentment; joyfulness, following likes and dislikes; effeminate, through creativity and a fertile imagination; through sociableness, gentleness, cheerfulness, warm charm, and seduction. So those are ways that you see yourself starting your sentences during the season. Hey, I'm going over Taurus season right now, so you can sit in with me. Biological correspondences, according to Het Haru. Physiologically wise, the cold, which warmer than the lunar energy and moist energy of Venus. So right now we're in cold and moist energy of Venus. It induces the temperate, relaxed physiological state that is required by the reproductive and gestational organs. It also rules the parotid, which are the glands, kidneys, and functions in charge of generating the subtle energies behind our libido. Again, getting back into that Venus energy of sensuality. It is the minor healing force. Pathologically wise, illnesses of the reproductive organs, mumps, gestational problems such as miscarriages, varicosities like varicose veins, hemorrhoids, aneurysms, renal disorders, cysts, venereal diseases, laxity of the fiber, tumors, stomach disorders. All those things focus on during this time. Comedic therapeutics, joyful events, emetic, diuretic, demulcent, and alternative detoxifiers are good during this time too. And as far as Chinese medicine, if you guys are into Chinese medicine during this time, it's good to focus on the kidney and bladder system, focus on blood and qi disease patterns and disease healing. And this is in reference to Metu Netter. We're actually on page 290. Spiritual counsel. Whenever you receive a Het Haru reading, you are being reminded that the purpose of indulging pleasurable or negative sensations is for the arousal of Ra, or Chi, or Orgone energy. It depends on, what word you like to follow. When they are combined with your visualizations, which is your daydreams, your meditations, your dreams at night, things like that, of occurrences in your life, which is your past and future, they are given the power to manifest. In the same vein, you are being warned against wasting your life force through overindulgence, in order to avoid weakening your constitution and your ability to achieve your will. So that's pretty much it in the nutshell. As far as thank you for letting me know, I didn't know that. As far as the Metu Netter book goes, they want you to be mindful of, your physical creations, being appreciative of your physical creations, but be mindful not to overindulge. Venus rules over our love, our sensuality, and like I said earlier, the food will taste better, the sex will be better, physical things will be more beautiful to you. Just be mindful of overindulging. Be mindful of over praying and over asking Oshun during the season for business. I see a lot of small businesses coming up during this season, where we're in quarantine. A lot of online businesses are starting up. Be mindful of what you are invoking and shown to do, and be mindful of how often you're calling on him. You may not be directly calling on Oshun. You may not be directly invoking him with certain intentions, but like when you're constantly putting that energy out there, that's exactly what you're doing, and you don't want to overdo it. which is what we have a tendency to do in the Taurus season. Everybody wants to build up their money. Everybody wants to get their overtime. Everybody wants to overwork their bodies because we want to be physically appealing for the summertime season. We want physically appealing clothes. We want physically appealing bathing suits. We want all these physically appealing things for the future, and we're not being present, and we're being emotionally attached to these things that we're accumulating, etc., etc. Let's not do that. So now it's time to get into my favorite part. This is the planetary forecast. This is when I talk about where the planets are, what they're doing, what electromagnetic energy they're creating while doing so, and how you can be prepared. So we're going to start off with Mercury, because we already know that the sun is in Taurus, and for the last hour we were just talking about Taurus and what Taurus is doing and what the sun in Taurus means or whatever. So the sun had just got a whole hour of us, so we're done with the sun. Now we're getting into Mercury. So we know that Mercury rules the decision making mind and how one communicates, teaches, and learns. Mercury starts off in Aries season. It has been in Aries season since April 11th. One may be energized and motivated towards writing, debating, lectures to influence others. One may be feeling inventive, competitive, but be careful not to become too enthusiastic or sarcastic or exaggerating a little too much during this time. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be overly snappy when you're communicating with other people while Mercury is still in Aries. April 28th, that's when Mercury is moving into Taurus. And it will be in Taurus till May 11th. And during this time, you will be focusing your intellect to accumulate material things. We're coming back into that physical energy. You're going to be using your intellect to accumulate better relationships and things like that. The things that Venus wants us to have, the things that Oshun wants us to have. You'll be feeling diligent, determined. You might have a little bit of tunnel vision going on, that stubbornness of that Taurus energy in your communication, and as well as how you accumulate things, and also in how you educate yourself, or the education you've already accumulated for yourself. You may be feeling stubborn in that, and this is not a good time to do that, especially when we constantly have new information coming out about this virus, about what the government is doing behind the scenes, what's being covered up, things like that. Don't be so stubborn in your knowledge and what you have accumulated during that aggressive Aries season that you're not being open to more knowledge during this season, especially knowledge that might conflict with what things that you already know. You may also be feeling a little bit irritable during this season when people do trigger the things that you already know. You'll be feeling patient as that slow moving bull, like I told you about. When you watch a bull in its element before it's poked, it's very calm and patient, slow moving. So you may feel yourself moving a little bit slower than you were moving last season. We're not panic buying anymore. We're not overindulging anymore. We're not trying to get everything done because we don't know what's happening. We're not doing anything like that anymore. We're reaching a certain kind of platform, a certain kind of plateau. You may be feeling a little bit more sociable as you're getting more in tune with the love and things like that, especially with that Venus energy. So May 12th, Mercury is entering to Gemini season. So during this season, we get to feel Mercury in 3 different places. We're starting off with that aggressive energy, then we're going into that love, patient, stubborn, balanced energy, and then we're ending off Taurus season with Mercury ending in Gemini season. And during this time, you have an extremely adaptable energy about you. You're becoming more flexible and malleable when it comes to your education. I guess during this Taurus season, you're going to go through a couple weeks of phase where like stuff is breaking everything you know. And then when you come out of it in that Gemini season, you're going to be a little bit more malleable. You're going to be a little bit more accepting, because we have been accepting so much new energy, new information during this time, that it is a little bit overwhelming, especially to my people who are naturally earth signs or naturally have their Mercury in an earth sign. This might be a lot for you guys, opening your minds up to things that aren't in the textbooks you've been reading for years. You may be also feeling like an alert and curious mind. You may have a nervous energy about you because there is so much going on. There's so much you're adapting to. There's so much information hitting you at the same time. You must find a release for all of this, but don't overload yourself. Ending that Taurus season, don't overload yourself with information. Be mindful of that. When you reach into Venus, we know Venus rules love and finances and what one is attracted to. So from April 3rd to what is that, August 6th, Venus is in Gemini. So Venus will be in Gemini all season and beyond. Relationships during this season where talking and sharing ideas and challenging each other's mindsets are more attractive to you at this time. So you after during this time you're going to find yourself, in fact we have been in a realm where we are finding ourselves in a pool of a lot of information tugging and pulling us in different directions. And we are in a situation where we find that Venus energy of accumulating wealth and accumulating physical assets and accumulating our sensuality back, getting our libido back after being in that cold winter and that aggressive Aries. Now we find all that stuff coming back. You will be pulled in a lot of different directions. You might have multiple love interests during this time, multiple love options during this time. You may have multiple job venues. I know right now I have like a handful. Like my portfolio is very diversified, especially with this down thing. You have stocks going down, so this is a perfect time for people that were always complaining about not having money to invest. This is the perfect time to invest in ETFs. You can do it right off your Cash App. A app that I use, a Stash app, but I do use Cash App. I actually invested in Six Flags on Cash App because I know that when this is over, people going to Six Flags. I know I am. You have things like that. You have people telling you to get into forex trading and Bitcoin trading and open your own business and start vlogging and blogging and building websites and business cards. You have a lot of different business ventures being thrown at your face, and you may be feeling extra sociable and curious in these business ventures during this time because your Venus planet is in Gemini, and we have a Venus retrograde coming up. So from May 13th to June 24th, we have the Venus retrograde, and during this time you'll be experiencing challenges in all those multiple relationships you were experiencing in Gemini season. You may feel some challenges in those multiple business ventures. They may pause or decline a little bit, or you may have trouble juggling them. There are problems coming, and it's okay because problems don't have to have a negative attachment. That's when we go back to the Metu Netter of removing your attachments from your creations, because they are going to go up and down. They're not going to be on the up and up all the time. That's unrealistic. Problems are good for us because problems give us new direction turns. We want problems sometimes. Mars. Mars rules our animal instincts, our motivations, energy, desires, how we express anger, what makes us angry, what makes us act, and how we direct our ambition. Um, Mars is in Aquarius until May 12th. It's going from original, dynamic, expansive thoughts to emotional thoughts. A little more focused, but there's still some scattered thoughts going around. Um, Mars goes into Pisces on May 13th. It will be in Pisces until June 27th. And during this time, you will assert yourself in an emotional, sensitive, cooperative, humored, caring matter. Energy levels will fluctuate from day to day. It depends on your emotional state of mind. Frequent movements of solitude are necessary. So when we start off Mars and during Taurus season, we're starting it off in Aquarius, where we're kind of a little bit everywhere, but we still have that generous, that thoughtfulness about it. We're still caring about other people, but we're still feeling like individuals. We're still thinking about our originality, our individuals, and a lot of energy is going into separating yourself from other people. Right now we have the 6 feet, the quarantine, and so it's a perfect time to separate yourself from other people. It's a perfect time to put your energy into yourself and hone in on what you like and the things that you want to give your energy to, which will help when you have your Venus and Gemini and all these different forms of information are being smacked at you and all these different business opportunities are being smacked at you. It's good that in March you're coming through your separate energy and you're spending the first, now in this moment we're spending our first few days of Taurus energy and our last few days of Aries energy, really like coming into ourselves and putting our energy and our individuality and what it is we want to represent. I know myself representing less nobodies. I definitely been doing that, trying to figure out like what is it I'm trying to convey to other people? What is it that I'm trying to do as an individual? What is my goal here right now? And I've been just attracting so many great people and outlets and networking and things like that, especially over this weekend alone. And it's just when you start putting your energy, when you put that Mars energy into the things, the other planets they really move accordingly. And then, it is a good time to prep ourselves in that individual matter, because when this planet goes into Pisces and we're back into that emotional sense, we're back into that tendency to be a little gullible from that Pisces imaginative, trusting energy. We've already had that individuality energy down pat. We already know who we are as individuals. We already know what we want to do and what we're going. This Pisces energy is going to be complementary instead of stagnation and setbacks, so that retrograde in Venus don't hurt us as much. You know what I mean? Jupiter. Jupiter governs our generosity, our tolerance, law, religion, tradition, order, business, growth, wisdom, and luck. And Jupiter has been in Capricorn since December 2nd. It will be in Capricorn until next December, coming up 2020, until the 18th. So December 18th, 2020, that's when it's leaving Capricorn. But until then, it's chilling out here. So with Jupiter in Capricorn, you have a strong sense of duty, integrity, honesty, mature judgment, sound business ethics, dignity, and a drive to be important and powerful. And we see that a lot. We see that we have this election, we have elections, this election year. We see that a lot of people that were never into politics are coming into politics. Because I seen Kanye West talking about running for president in 2024. You have Kim Kardashian getting into law, following in her father's footsteps. You have a lot of celebrities that, now that they're home and are honing on that individual energy of Mars and Aquarius, they are starting to take certain turns in their political views, in their political representations, in their positions in political fields. I see in Charlemagne and oh shit, what is her name? I always get her mixed up with the girl from Insecure because they have similar name. No, they don't. The other one is Amanda Seals, but I love her too because she's doing that as well. She's, opening her voice box in the political field. I want to say her name is Aisha Rai, something like that, but she's also expanding herself in the political sense as she's home and she's honing in on what people are interpreting as conspiracy theories. She's starting to dynamically change how she's been viewing and voicing things. So, and that's happening to everyone else, not just celebrities. It's happening to all of us. Those are just the ideas that came to the top of my mind at the time in this moment, talking to you guys. But, we're all, following that drive to be important and powerful. On Do the Knowledge Radio, I see Brother Born interviewing a lot of people that are coming into their power and they're doing great things with their power, and they're building things, and they're building them with a sense of duty and integrity to Black people and our need for our own economic society, our own governmental society. It's beautiful. I love it. This Jupiter in Capricorn is doing great things for us as Black people, as melanated people, as indigenous people worldwide. We really are coming together and we really are fighting for ourselves and taking our power back. I love it. I love it. So May 14th, Jupiter is going into retrograde until September 12th. So we're dealing with that retrograde of Jupiter. And I believe that retrograde is going to coincide with our Venus retrograde, which starts on the 13th. So those two planets will be in retrograde at the same time. So with Jupiter in retrograde, this means our outward boss, that boss that we were putting out into this world, that was delegating stuff and going and doing this with this and this and this, now it's going inward. Now it's time to re-regulate our inner boss, what we're doing inward as a company and things like that. So when we exit out of that Mars and Aquarius energy and we go into that emotional Pisces energy, Jupiter just jumps right in and says, hey, no. Jupiter's bringing that Mars and Pisces balance. That Jupiter retrograde is bringing that balance to that emotional energy, to our energy, and saying, no, it's time to go inward. Bring back that individual. What are you going to do with your inner laws, your inner justice, your inner tolerance and integrity, and the inner laws of Mayat for yourself? What are you going to do with that? You know, it's time to do that while Jupiter's in retrograde, and that's from May 14th to September 12th. We're rechecking our motives because, you know, it's so easy when we're doing a business, and I can speak for myself unless nobody's. My purpose is to inform you guys. My ultimate goal is I want to have nobody's land. I'm really building up funds and connections with people to buy and buy and start an independent community. I want us to have our own government. I want us to have our own society. That is my biggest goal. I want us to have our own space. And so I'm in the process of seeking out passive income that I can make in my sleep so that come June or whenever I can put that deposit on land and we can start building from there. Um, but you know, every now and then I have to check my motives. Every now and then I can find myself getting caught up in the little winning battles of, oh, I made this amount of money this week, so now I can do this. Oh, I did this week, so now I can do that. I have to recheck myself. Like, nah, that's not the big picture here. The big picture here is this independent community you're trying to build with other people. The big picture here is you building your own school for these black kids and you're teaching them things that they need to know. This is the big picture here. So every now and then I have to check myself, as does any other business I would hope does. Saturn rules our restrictions, our boundaries, our depressions, self-discipline, and how one may distance themselves. Also rules how one may be restraining themselves, their fears and challenges. Saturn is in Capricorn. It's been in Capricorn since December 20th, 2017. And Capricorn will be Saturn will be in Capricorn until January, February, March 21st, 2020. So, okay, yeah. So from December 20th, 2017 to March 21st. So for about 3 years, if you will, 2 years and some change, Saturn was in Capricorn. So it's a big deal that Saturn is making a shift out because Saturn been chilling there. And we know Saturn rules our restrictions, our boundaries, and things that we, do to ourselves to keep us from doing things. The filters that we put in our mind before the words come out our mouth, the filters we put on our body before the actions come out. So, in order to succeed in your social position in the world, you will have to gain knowledge and expertise associated with worldly power, status, achievement, ability to deal effectively with authority, develop ambition and determination to excel. So, for those 2 years and some change, we were developing our knowledge and our expertise of the world. We were learning the laws and the rules of the world. We were learning the restrictions of the world. We were doing all those things. So now that Saturn is in Capricorn, no, it's not in Capricorn. Now that Saturn is in Aquarius, it is in Aquarius from March 22nd until July 1st. So in this space, in order to succeed in our social positions in the world, we have to gain knowledge and expertise associated with developing and tolerating people of other social groups. So now we have to start building certain types of boundaries, restrictions, and rules and disciplines with how we socialize with other people and friends. And our intellectual power is important during this time. Original thinking, intuition, investigative nature, and scientific reasoning, and being brought to the all that is being brought to the forefront right now. So, initially we were associated with learning the power and authority, and now until July we're learning about relationship building and doing for each other, which it is coinciding with what's going on today. We have all these people coming out telling people to stay at home, think of others, think of other people other than yourself. All those people we used to make jokes about are now essential people, and we're starting to look at them more. We're starting to look at the labor and warehouse work more now that people are starting to order more stuff online. People are starting to be more conscientious. I know I don't order as much as I used to online anymore because I know everybody else is, and everybody was doing it with that aggressive Aries energy when they were doing it. So people are ordering bulk orders of masks and da-da-da-da. Meanwhile, these people that's working at Amazon, I used to work in a warehouse. I used to work at Walmart warehouse. Fucking hated it. But these people, they're being mistreated. Not mistreated. They're kind of, there's no humanization there sometimes. I don't know if every warehouse is like that, but I know the few warehouses I worked where I tried to keep the humanization in there. The people that were higher up than me, because I was a floor manager, the people higher than me were like, nah, you care too much. You care too much. You're too interpersonal. You care too much about these workers and what could be causing them to lower their numbers. You care too much about helping them and make sure everybody's trained up. You care too much. It's a numbers thing. So let's be mindful of those people that work in warehouses that are being treated like numbers. We don't want to keep that going. We want better for those people because they're humans. Some of them are our cousins, our moms, our brothers, and our sisters. So yeah, we have to get into that mindful energy of creating some sort of consideration of other people and what they're doing. Yeah. So there's also some original thinking that comes into this energy of Saturn and Aquarius, some intuitive thinking, some investigative nature that's coming into this. There's some scientific reasoning, and we do see that because now we're starting to get a little bit more answers in what this virus is, what it's made of, what the membrane looks like, how to get rid of the membrane, how to get rid of the DNA inside the virus so that when it tries to implant the viral DNA inside of your body to replicate, it's not working. Like, a lot of that is coming to fruition. May 11th, we have another retrograde. So we're gonna have 3 planets going in retrograde simultaneously. So Saturn's gonna go in retrograde on May 11th. And it's going in retrograde from that day until September 28th, and that's in July. On July 2nd, it's been in retrograde for so long, it actually goes back into the Capricorn. So we were dealing with worldly powers, authority, and then we go into dealing with our individuality and building relationships with other people, and then we go right back into the authority and business of it. So I'm interested in what's going to happen around from May 10th to May 15th is looking like a weird time because we'll have 3 planets during that time space going into retrograde. And those are the planets that deal with the government a lot. You have your Saturn, that deals with the restrictions on law. You have Jupiter, which is dealing with toleration, law, religion, and tradition. And then you have Venus, which deals with physical aspects, the physical realm, financial abundance and things. And with those 3 planets going in retrograde simultaneously, I wonder what kind of electromagnetic energy that's going to bring with our government. That sounds like that's government derived. So I keep my eyes and ears open between May 10th and May 15th. Something's a brewing. Uranus governs one's individuality, progressiveness, change, the force that makes one to do things in a new way, and or face the truth about the ways that we've been doing things. And Uranus has been in Taurus since March 6, 2019, and will stay in Taurus until April 26, 2026. So we have about 6 more years with Uranus in the Taurus season, and we've been and Uranus is the planet of going out, breaking those things, breaking the rules, being rebellious and things. And we know that Taurus is that energy of holding things in and being stubborn and determined and tunnel vision. So these 2 planets coming together is creating some type of, it's the same thing as the Organites, where one is attracting this stagnant energy and the other one is repelling this energy. And what it's doing is cleaning the stagnant energy altogether. There's a lot of stagnant energy that's been amongst us in the way we have been changing and the way that we have been living, our traditions, our government, the way we've been holding on to things. And these 7 years from 2019 to 2026, we're scrubbing all that stagnant energy. We're getting all of that out of here. And I see that since 2019 when we started 2019 wasn't the start of the Black Lives Movement, but that's when we started getting loud. That's when we started saying people's names. That's when we started writing people's names. Last year around this time, we lost Nipsey Hussle. We lost Dr. Sebi. But then, at the same time, the marathon was continuing. At the same time, the cannon picked up the baton. At the same time, we have these healthy eaters, these healthy vegan eaters, these African healers, these black healers all over the place since, that shift happened when Uranus entered Taurus. We are breaking generational curses. We're changing the way we eat so that we can change our DNA. A lot of us, we like to accept the fact that, oh, diabetes, high blood pressure, and all that stuff runs in my family. It runs in your family because for generations we were subjected to eat scraps as slaves, and those scraps were high in cholesterol, they were high in sodium, they were high in sugar. We were eating things that were bad for us. So now it's genetic, along with our trauma, our psychological and spiritual trauma. It's been brought down to us. Along with that is the high blood pressure and the anxiety and the depression and the anger and all those things. We brought all those things down. But 7 years, seven, that number of intuition, it's seven is such a complete heaven highly number. We're spending almost 7 years in scrubbing all of that. We're spending almost 7 years scrubbing all of that. So I'm excited for the changes that we're making. And not everybody's going to make it. But it's okay. You're not going to bring, I'm letting you know right now, you're not going to bring everybody. You're not even going to bring half the people in your circle that you want to come with you. And I'm slowly learning that. And I'm slowly learning to accept it. And it hurts. But it is what it is. A lot of people that you want to bring with you ain't coming. But it's happening, and it's happening until March 26, 2026. So that's really exciting. One will have clarity and insight on how to make changes or new directions. Disruptions will occur through clinging to old value systems that are not in harmony. So the longer we try to cling into this old government, the longer we try to cling into this old technology, the longer we try to cling onto these old religions, these old ways of eating, it's not going to do well for us. It's time to renew, rebirth, pull out that death card for us. You know what I mean? So moving into Neptune energy. Neptune rules the subconscious, our dreams, healing, inspiration, psychic sensitivity. This is the dimension of life that can't be experienced by the five senses. This is our expansive energy. And we kind of just got out of this in Aquarius energy, which was ruled by Neptune and Jupiter, I believe. So Pisces, Neptune was in Pisces from February 4th, 2012, and it will be in Pisces till January 26, 26. So, for a lot of years, Neptune has been in Pisces, and it will be in for a lot more years more. So 2026, we're going to look back onto this 2020, and we're going to be like, wow, 2026 is going to be so different for us. And referring back to the Do the Knowledge interview, she said 2024. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. I jumped the gun. Let's stick with this 2026 real quick and see what's in store for us for the next 6 years or so. This is bringing about the energy of selflessness, which we see that a brewing. It has been a brewing all this time, where we're bringing light. We brought light to the gay community. We brought light to the women's movement and Me Too, and we started bringing light to a lot of sexual deviances that have been happening with women and children in the background of Hollywood, in the background of the government, in the background of our homes. I know the black community, we don't like to see black people in jail. So we keep a lot of secrets in our homes. But in the meantime, our children are suffering. I know I come from that background of, you endure things, but you don't say anything to anybody because we don't want to see our people in jail. So now I'm an adult and I'm trying to exercise my throat chakra and my heart chakra because I was taught to suppress those things. You keep your abuse in the home. You don't tell people when people hit you. You don't tell people when that family member touched you. But I see a lot of black women and black men. Oh my God, I love it. We're coming out and we're talking to each other and we're learning to be selfless. We have that black men and women healing going on where we're not pointing fingers. A few years ago, all I would see is why black men do this, why black women do this. It's a lot of finger pointing, but I don't see that as much anymore, and it's really nice. We're really coming into that transformation where we're thinking about other people. We're not thinking about ourselves as much. We're thinking about everybody as a collective. We're building societies. Black people are building platforms for each other, not just themselves. We have WeBuyBlack.com. We have For the Culture. We have other platforms. We have all these speakers coming out and speaking to us and giving us information for the betterment of everyone, not just themselves. One may feel the desire to be self-sacrificing. We're going to have some heroes that die. We had Dr. Sebi. We had Nipsey Hussle. We had Sandra Bland. We had the protester in Brazil. We've had so many people that have, taken a shot for us, for the selflessness of us. And that's been so And we've been just carrying the baton. I see all of us, learning from these people and studying these people and what they studied, and they're carrying it into their families, into their children. They're carrying it out into the universe on these platforms, and they're sharing that information, and it's beautiful. And we'll keep doing this. We'll keep doing this. Also, be mindful, because with this comes, the positive traits come, what we consider as electrons, negative traits. You may feel impressionable, gullible, easily inspired. You can be imaginative, but you can be a little too expansive. Neptune has the ability, it's like when you get a new superpower, you're like, oh, I can do this, I'm gonna do this, but then you have that moment where you utilize it too much, and you're like, I can't stop it, it won't stop. Be mindful of that part. Because you could be a little too giving, you could be little too self-sacrificing. You can have tunnel vision with this, like, I just want to give to everybody. And I did a couple of readings during this week where I had to tell a couple people, because I kept pulling that upside down cup card where people were holding their cups the wrong way. It was just pouring out at the bottom, but there was nothing getting in at the top. And it was just like, yeah, we got to change the way we're holding our cups a little bit. Like Ginger Moore said on here, balance is key. And it is very hard right now. It's very hard for a lot of us, but it still is the key. But yeah, so just be mindful of that. Be mindful not to be too passive. And prayers during this time are successful if they're given out with expectations. Like I told you earlier, this is the time of Oshun. This is the time of that Venus energy. But be mindful that you're not asking or invoking Oshun too much. Don't get that tunnel vision in that business or obtaining that physical wealth or that physical, any type of physical thing you're trying to get back. Doesn't necessarily have to be a currency. It could just be it could just be the attention that you feel. Any type of physical thing, just don't dive into that too much. So now we're going to get into the 2024 that I was listening to in the video. We're dealing with Pluto now. Pluto rules over our death and our rebirth. Pluto deals with our destruction and our healing, our power and our secrets, and how one will transform. Our Pluto is in Capricorn. It has been in Capricorn since January 26, 2008. And it will stay in Capricorn until January 1st, 2024. Caution in all things. This Pluto in Capricorn brings on ambition, patience. Some may have to learn the hard way of this ambition and patience. Misuse and disruption of power is coming to light and is creating a death and a rebirth. So all this stuff that's coming out about the government, about the CDC, about science, about, our healthcare workers, like our nurses and our doctors being misled through these textbooks by people that make money off of our nurses and our doctors believing in these things. Gratefully, I love the place that I work at, because I have a few really good doctors that see beneath the bullshit, and they actually work at the board at other hospitals. I don't know how much I'm allowed to tell, but they work on a board at other hospitals, and they're really good, because they don't believe in that, like, giving somebody a prescription for every little thing, a pill for everything, a little thing. There is also that idea that, this person needs to eat, this person needs to exercise, this person needs to move this part of their body, this person needs to do X, Y, Z. And I love that. And that needs, hopefully that expands. I keep telling these specific doctors that I come into contact on a regular basis, you need to start teaching classes, because there's a lot of doctors that don't think like you. And because of a lot of doctors that don't think like you, it discourages a lot of people like me from going to the doctors. But if I knew for a fact I would have a doctor, like the doctors that I come across with at my job, I would feel a little bit more comfortable, because I know you really do have my best interest, and you're not just trying to give me a bunch of pills because of what you read in the textbook, and you're not really paying attention to the people that read those textbooks. Like I tell my son, when you read a book, whether it's a textbook or an informational book or a fictional novel, read about the people that's writing it. Read about the people that's copywriting it. Read about all those people that's behind the works of that book. Because if you don't know who wrote that book, you don't know why that book is written. And sometimes that book is not written for your best interest. Sometimes that book is just a book of sales, and power. So always be mindful. Always be mindful. Caution in all things during this Pluto and Capricorn. Misuse and disruption of power come late. Focus on transformation for success and power. And then we have another retrograde. We have 4 retrogrades. From April 26th to December 3rd. Pluto will be in retrograde. And during this time, focus on how you self-sabotage, how you restrict yourself, how you rearrange your paths and disciplines. So with these four planets going in retrograde, we're really like breaking down the laws and the restrictions we've had for ourselves. We're really doing a death and a rebirth on the power structure in our lives, in our homes, breaking generational curses and putting up with toxic matriarchs and patriarchs. We're dealing with that in our communities. We're dealing with that in our government. We're dealing with that in our society and our nationalism and our tribalism. We're dealing with that in all ways. With these four planets going in retrograde at the same time, like we're breaking shit down. Like this is a crazy turning point for us. Like all those futuristic movies that look absolutely nothing like what we have going on, like those are definitely coming into fruition, and it's beautiful. So those are the planets in a nutshell, and that was fun. So now we got the sun, we got the planets. Now what's the moon doing? What's the moon doing, ladies? Oh, it's going into all 13 stages every season. So we're still going to be all over the place. We're still going to feel a little bit of this. We're feeling 13 things this month, just like we did last month and the year before that. So we still going to be crazy out here. But the new moon, which we know is the moon of rebirth, this is the beginning moon phase to the moon cycle that represents the rest in our beginnings. This is also the perfect time to go inward. This is the time to get in tune with yourself and begin planning goals for yourself and your rituals of growth. And on the 23rd, it will be in Taurus. So we're feeling a rebirth in how we gain our finances, which is so true. Like I said earlier, a lot of jobs that we've had before this started, we're not going to have those jobs. Those jobs were going to be obsolete. And in the meantime, while a lot of people have been home, a lot of people have been creating new venues to create money, to obtain that physical wealth, to obtain those physical things, to obtain physical relationships, to obtain that love and that emotion. A lot of people were going out to bars and stuff, are now on BLK and Plenty of Fish and on Facebook Meet and all that stuff. A lot of people that were, going out to make friends and going out with their friends are now on Zoom having drinking games, stuff like that. I'm hosting a bingo night that I probably would have hosted in my backyard has this had happened. So, that's a big deal. During this new moon, definitely hone in on things that you would like a rebirth in your finance, especially for those who are dealing with the layoffs in a bad way. Everybody who is unemployed is not unemployed by choice. A lot of people who are unemployed are in a position and they don't know what to do and they don't know how to get out of it, and they're sad and it's not going in their favor. I personally, I would rather be home with my kids and homeschooling kids, because I'm sure I told you guys videos ago, that's my dream. And I see other people living it, and I'm like, how could you be so unhappy, being at home with your kids all day? Like, I would love to do that and have an organized schedule for my businesses and my money ventures, because I already had all my things set up before this even happened. I wasn't even ready for this. This was just something I already had in my mind to build. You know what I mean? But a lot of people didn't have that, and we have to be mindful of that. Just because they're home, it doesn't mean that they're having a good time. And for those who are home and they are stressing and stuff, this is definitely, during this new moon, is a good time to go inward and think about how you've been making money, how you have been collecting friendships and relationships, and the relationships in your home with your children or with your spouse that you weren't paying attention to before. Be careful, be mindful, reevaluate, rebirth. The full moon. The full moon is the moon of celebration. This moon comes with a surge of energy. It is a great time to cleanse and recharge yourself in your spaces. This is also a great time to finish any projects you have open, a great time for cleansing and protection rituals. So during this time we have Scorpio. Scorpio is on May 7th is the full moon in Scorpio, which is kind of ironic, not really, but like cool, because like this full moon will prepare you for these four planets going into retrograde simultaneously. So during this time, I say don't take this full moon lightly. I think we should also be serious about doing whatever rituals we need to do, grounding ourselves in this earth energy of Taurus sun, honing in on our financial gains, our rewards, how we plan to help others that are not building financially, because we have a few planets that are in Aquarius that should be expanding our energy to think about ourselves as individuals, but also think about others with this selfless energy. And so during this moon, please, like, take this moon seriously, because this is like the apple before you get to that board of the big monster, where we'll have four planets in retrograde simultaneously, forcing us to go inward, forcing us to break through certain barriers and things that we have been creating, that we have created over generations, certain societal things that have been created over generations. Prepare yourself from May 10th to the 15th is that period where you'll start to feel the shadow of all those planets retrograding simultaneously, and then after a while it'll just start to feel regular. I think the first couple weeks is gonna be a shake. Something crazy is gonna happen, y'all. So just prepare yourself. Something crazy is gonna happen. So just prepare yourself for that shake, for that earthquake during this earth sign, and then it'll flatten out. And then a lot of these retrogrades are going into September. So we're gonna be experiencing this inwardness for the summertime. Some of these are going. Well, two of them are stopping in June. So well, no, one of them is only stopping. The Venus retrograde is stopping in June, so it's only from May to June. But the Jupiter retrograde, Saturn retrograde, and the Pluto retrograde, they're all going all into September. So that breaking the law down, rejuvenating the law, the inner traditions, the traditional curses, the generation, all that stuff is being broke down for real, from an inward mental matter from that 10th, 15th area in May all the way up until September. We're spending our summer breaking laws and building new things. So it's going to be an exciting season for us. We're calming down. We're getting used to the changes, but then we're going to wait. There's more. For 1999, we're going to get a couple more things. You know what I mean? So we do have a few planets that are around each other, that are pretty close to each other right now. We still have Jupiter and Saturn. They're both in Capricorn together. Pluto is out there in Capricorn with those guys. And so we know that brings a lot of energy to the death and rebirth of our restrictions, our boundaries, our tolerance, our law and religion. So those three planets coming together in that space is doing something. It's creating that same energy as those retrogrades are creating, which is pretty exciting. You'll have the new moon when it's in Taurus. It'll be close to Uranus, which is also in Taurus. So we're illuminating that energy of breaking apart our traditional energies, breaking apart the things we have been stubborn with and holding on to. So that's pretty exciting as well. What else do we have close to each other? Um, mm, 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 mm. We have Mercury is also hanging out in the Taurus energy with the moon and Uranus too. So we'll even be communicating these things. We'll be learning these things. We'll be teaching these things. We have Neptune and Mars and that Pisces energy together. A lot of energy, a lot of aggressive energy and motivation is going to be put into our subconscious, dreaming, healing, inspiring, which is cool because that's going to create a really good balance to that aggressive energy that's going to be going into breaking down the physical realm of Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. So that's it in a nutshell. That's the planetary forecast. I hope you guys enjoyed it this morning. I'm about to get myself together because I got to go to work. I really enjoyed doing this reading. It was very self-reassuring for me. These readings are really good for me because it helps calm my anxiety down of the unknown. It helps organize my thoughts of what needs to be done. It's a nice, it's going to be okay because as above, so is below. And I hope that this brought the same type of vibe for you because that was my intentions. I've been doing this video for about 2 hours now. So if you missed the first part, no worries. Later on today, the entire video will be up on YouTube. So you can watch it from front to back. You can learn about Metu Neter, the different colors, the stones, and the herbs during the season, and then get into the planetary forecast here at the end. So I love you guys. I hope you guys are having a peaceful season. I hope every season's with better, okay. I know everybody's kind of in an upheaval and everybody's scared. I spent a couple of days last week just crying because, like I said, I work in the healthcare industry, so a lot of things are going on. I'm seeing firsthand on a daily basis, and it's a lot and it's very scary. But never fear because this assuring, slow and steady energy of Taurus energy is here. So let's get to it. All right, y'all. Take care. Be safe.